Oh man, if there's something which made Formwork famous, it's the batch exports. And maybe, or likely, you're not as enthusiastic as I am, but I think this is extremely cool. This is the feature which literally enables you to take out all of your data with just a click of a button in probably like 5 minutes or so and migrate to another QMS software if you're unhappy with Formwork. Maybe I shouldn't be that enthusiastic about that, but personally I am because the eQMS software industry is extremely shady and we are literally the only company trying to bring transparency to this industry here by making software which is transparent and also which doesn't lock you in, which enables you to take your data out. But enough talk, let's actually look at how it looks like to access the batch export feature, which is a paid feature, so you might not have access to this if you're a free Formwork user. You navigate to QMS at the top, then you scroll down on the left side, and then you see batch exports, which is actually the bottommost entry. Click the batch exports and then you see this is actually our company account, so we've already done a couple batch exports recently which have all succeeded 100% here. But this is actually not very useful for you, so let's actually look at how to create a new batch export and how to kick this off. So you hit new at the top right corner and then it is super simple. You get asked, okay, do you want to include your documents? Do you want to include your records? And if so, in which way would you like to include them? So let's look at that. If you click documents, because documents actually have separate versions, right? They're versioned. You might have version 1 of a document and then version 2 of a document and so on. You can actually choose to take the most recent approved version, which would make sense if you want to hand this in for an audit. Or you could even take the most recent draft version, which might make sense if you want to just take your data and move it somewhere else because you've still been working on your drafts and those are the things you want to move out. You can select one of those two things and then you move on to the next box. And then you move on to the next box, which is the document format. You get the choice of either PDF or Markdown. PDF makes sense for audits and I suppose non-technical people because like auditors, by the way, those are non-technical people in many cases. PDFs can be opened by essentially everyone with a computer, whereas Markdown files are actually the source, that's the source format of the documents and records in Formwork. So if you have if you're a technical person, like a software developer, and want to really take your data out and move it somewhere else and want to take all the formatting with you, then you probably want to choose Markdown. Also, documents and records can have attachments, attached files. In that case, if you want to also export those, hit that checkbox here, and the zip archive, which we'll see later, it will also include these attachments. Now when we move on to records, you actually have an additional option here. You can include TechDoc records. So TechDoc records are also records, but they're in a slightly different section. This is a bit confusing right now. Unfortunately, maybe we'll improve this in the future, but it's easy to understand. So you can see the normal QMS records there on this left side if you click records here in this QMS section. But you also have TechDoc records. So if I go to the TechDoc sections here in a bit, you can see you have different TechDoc projects, which are your products. In this case, for example, Apple Watch. And then you can see the Apple Watch can actually have associated records. So for example, the intended use here, or software release checklist. And opening these are also just records. These are also things which can be reviewed, which have rich text content, so exactly the same on a technical level, and they also can be exported. But to export them in a batch export, you need to tick this checkbox, include records stored in your TechDoc section, and it will actually include records of all your products, not just a specific product. So this is great if you want to do an audit hand-in, for example, or again, if you want to move your entire data somewhere else. Same here, you can choose PDF or Markdown, and that's pretty easy to explain, and attachments here too. Then you hit start, and then it starts. I won't start it now, otherwise the software developers will probably hate me for putting even more load on our few servers. But no, actually we're doing okay. It's easier to show if I show you a finished batch export here. You see this progress bar will run through. Typically it really just takes a few minutes. And once it's done, you see this zip archive of things. And then you can open this zip archive and just download it. And inside, the folder structure will literally resemble the folder structure you see on the left side here. So you have a documents folder, a records folder, and with all those subfolders. Maybe one quick pro trick which might help you along the way is some PDFs might look crappy, and that's not necessarily our fault. Well, maybe sometimes it's our fault. I can actually show you why that is the case. So if you have a document or record which is very wide, because it has a super wide table, for example this, we have a list of kappas here. By the way, that was before we shipped our actual kappas feature, which is here on the left side. We were still doing it in a table. We actually had this gigantic, huge table here on the bottom of this document. And if you export that to a PDF, it might literally be clipped, because the PDF save mechanism, it might not know what to do with the table. Should it like compress it? By the way, that's what Confluence does, and make all columns kind of unreadable. In my opinion, that's not great. Or should it clip it and kind of like omit the stuff on the right side, which is also not great. But you can actually fix this. So if you have a document which is likely to be very wide, you go to the right side and then you hit PDF settings, and then you get this very cool PDF settings dialog. When you have different options for wide things, you could, for example, change the orientation from portrait to landscape and save this. And this would be saved for batch exports too for this particular document or record. And if that doesn't work, you could even reduce the scale to 75%, or you could even reduce the format to A3. And the combination of that, any combination of that will definitely work. Like usually it's enough to just change one of these parameters and it'll work really well for wide documents. In my opinion, that sets us apart from Confluence, because Confluence is not able to export these wide files in a smart way. Cool, and then you kicked off your batch export. You have your file here, you download it and do whatever you want with it, hand it in for your audit, or move it to another QMS system if you like. Again, this is a paid feature, but you can try it out anytime for free. In that case, just reach out. You have the reach out link at the bottom right corner somewhere, the support link. Email will likely end up in my inbox or in someone else's inbox in the company, and then we'll upgrade you to a free trial for a few days, and you can see if this is something you'd like to use.